Not the smartest guys in the room. I see Tom. We are talking audacious, huge. Audacious is a great word, huh? Audacious, huge, and bold goals today. Do they matter? Should you even set goals? Set goals? Should you, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. People should set goals. And I think, like, in a lot of cases, the more audacious, the better. And I agree. I think I like that word. Audacious is a good word.
Audacious, yeah. It's big. You know, it's big when people start talking about that. You know, this means this isn't like today I'm going to go run. Uh, I'm going to go for a walk, or maybe it could be I'm going to run 3 miles, but I'm saying go. What's the big thing? What are you going to land? What are you going to nail?
Yeah, well, and I think the place where a lot of people go wrong with like goal setting, at least in my from my perspective, is that I don't think goals should be ever be things that are likely that you're going to accomplish, or things that are easy or straightforward for you to accomplish or like well within your reach, right? I think often people set goals, they're like, oh, my goal is to vacuum twice a week, and it's like that's not a goal, that's a task. That's something you put on your to-do list, right? Like, and maybe you don't do it all the time, but that's not a reach, right? That's not something that should be your goal. Like, where's the, if that's your goal, where's the bar? On the floor in the basement? Like, what are you trying to get over? That's so easily attainable. What's even the point of saying it out loud, right? Just write that on the fridge on the to-do list and like move on with your life. If you're going to set goals, make them things that you have to strive for. Make them things that you're not sure you can accomplish, because then you'll push yourself to actually achieving things that you've never done before. But if you set your goals at such a base, easy to attain level, I think you're doing yourself a disservice. And I think at the end of the day, you're never really going to accomplish anything meaningful in the pursuit of those goals. So I'm a big proponent of setting audacious goals, of setting unreasonable goals to coin, or to use the word that my friend Will Gadar likes to use. I actually texted him and said, shared my results from my Ironman race, which is kind of what spawned this topic today. But shared my results from my Ironman race, and told him that every time I say the word unreasonable, I think of him. But but yeah, I mean, I think set unreasonable goals. Like, don't play it safe with goal setting, right? That is the last place you should be playing it safe. Set unreasonable goals, and better yourself in the pursuit of those goals, whether you achieve them fully or not. I think your goals should be so big that you're really unlikely to fully achieve them, fully realize them, right? But if you push yourself beyond your comfort level to achieve bigger and greater than you ever have before, you're always going to get further than if you set really easily attainable goals for yourself, right? Like, don't treat your goals like a to-do list. It's not what it should be for, in my opinion, right? That's what I think.
All right, Tom. Well, I agree, but I want to push back as Tom. What about these people that set goals so big and then they're like, ah, that was too big. I'm not going to do it. You know, and they just quit because they see so shouldn't there be some kind of benchmarks and metrics along the way that are like micro goals or mini goals or, you know?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think really, here's what I do, right? So rather than saying what I think everybody else should do, I'm just going to tell you what I do, okay? So what I do is I set goals that are theoretically possible, right? That, like, on a perfect day, if everything falls into place exactly as I hope for it to fall into place, the goal is achievable, right? So that's kind of the bar that I set for myself. And then, I mean, how many days do we have in our lives that are perfect, right? Where everything goes exactly the way you want it to go? Very few, if any, right? So often things don't line up exactly that way. And that sort of theoretical goal goes out the window, right? But because it was theoretically possible, I was working towards something that could happen. I will continue to strive and push. And I always have kind of like secondary goals in mind, right? Like, well, if I can't quite get there, at least I want to get here, right? And so, like, I mean, let's just dig into it, right? I don't know what I'm saving it for. Let's talk about my Ironman race last weekend, right? So I had set a theoretically possible goal, right? On paper, I did the math. I laid out the times, I added them up. It was theoretically possible if I had the perfect day. It was theoretically possible for me to finish just under 10 hours, like in the 950s, right? Like that was theoretically possible. Like I had it in me to do it based on my time, my training, based on what I was capable of. It was theoretically possible. So that was my big audacious goal, was to finish under 10 hours. Now I got out of the water on the swim and I looked at my watch and I was already 10 minutes behind that initial goal. And I knew at that point that it was very unlikely that I was going to claw back that time, that I was going to make it in under 10 hours. Already an hour and 25 minutes into the day, right? An hour and 25 minutes into a race that would end up lasting almost another 10 hours, right? I had almost 10 hours to go at that point. And I knew I was likely not going to make my goal that I had set for myself. So I started thinking, right, well, first of all, I said, okay, that's not ideal. Moving on. Let's get through transition. Let's get on the bike and let's get moving and let's see how we feel on the bike. Right. And I got on the bike and I felt mostly pretty good, but my lower back was bothering me, which meant that I had to keep getting out of the saddle, had to keep stretching it out because it was like locking up. It was muscle fatigue, right? It was really what was the issue, muscle soreness and muscle fatigue. And so for me, I'm on the bike and I'm having to slow down because I have to keep getting out of the saddle, get out of my aero bars. That slows me down, and makes it less and less likely. Every time I have to do that, makes it less likely that I'm going to achieve my goal on the bike. And so when I was about halfway through the bike, I knew that I wasn't going to get my goal on the bike. My goal on the bike had initially been to come in under 5 hours, which would have meant that I would have had to average about a little over 22 miles an hour. And I had finished the first lap and my average speed was like 21.7 miles an hour or something like that. And I was like, I don't have it in me. My back is bothering me too much. There's no way that I'm going to be able to like pick up that much speed on this second lap. It's just not possible. So I knew then that I wasn't going to hit my goal on the bike. Right. And I still had 50 plus miles to go, 56 miles to go when I had that realization. But I kept going because I knew that I could still do well on the bike. I just wasn't going to do as well as I wanted to. So I kept going. I ended up finishing in 5 hours and 12 minutes and changed about a minute faster than last year on the same course. And then I got onto the run and felt pretty good for the first 10 miles or so. And then my legs started to get really heavy, had a little bit of like GI upset, nothing like major, but just like a little bit of GI upset. I hadn't been taking on enough water, so I was getting a little dehydrated. That's hard to climb back from when you're already exercising. It's hard to get yourself rehydrated. And it's hard to drink a lot of water just because it ends up like sloshing around in your stomach, and that's really uncomfortable. So I started slowing down after about mile 10 on the run as my legs started getting heavier. And then for the second half of the marathon, there was some flooding on the course. And so there were places where I was forced to walk, right? Also, my feet were starting to bother me because there had been flooding on the bike course, as well as there was starting to be flooding on the run course. And that meant that I had had wet feet for like 8+ hours at that point, right? So my feet had been wet basically all day, and running on wet feet is not ideal. My feet were starting to bother me. So I just wasn't having the perfect day, far from it, right? But I kept going because I knew that there were two goals that were still within reach, theoretically, right? One, I wasn't going to know whether or not I could hit it until after I crossed the finish line and somebody told me. But the other one was my goal to set a personal best, right? I still had that in my sights. And so I kept pushing, I kept moving, and I ended up setting almost a 40-minute personal best, like a 38-minute personal best, right? So like 38 minutes faster than I've ever finished an Ironman before. And that's a huge achievement. I mean, 38 minutes is a lot of time to take off of a race, right? Even a long course race like that. So that's a huge accomplishment. And then on top of that, I found out that my other goal was to finish in the top 10 of my age group. Last time I was 13th in my age group. This year, 9th, right? So I got a top 10 finish in my age group. And then what I found out the next morning was something that wasn't even really a goal. But I found out the next morning that I qualified for the World Championships as an age group athlete, and I'm going to France next year to race in the World Championships in Nice. So, I mean, none of that would have happened if I had just given up when I didn't hit that like primary audacious goal, right? If I had phoned it in from the time that I got out of the water on the swim, I never would have accomplished, any of those other, subsequent goals, right? And if I hadn't set such high goals, I wouldn't have accomplished it either. So, I think from my personal anecdotal experience, when you set big audacious goals and you work towards them and you don't quit, right? And you adjust your goals based on performance, based on the day, based on the race you have, based on the circumstances you're in, you can still accomplish huge things even when you don't hit that big audacious goal, right? So, here I am, only a couple of years into doing long course triathlons, and I'm going to the World Championships as an age group athlete, and I'm pretty proud of that. So, and it never would have happened if I hadn't set a big audacious goal. So that's kind of my perspective and where I'm coming at it from. I think you set a big audacious goal. I do this in other parts of my life too, right? So my big audacious goal professionally is to humanize the world of business through better communications, right? So set big audacious goals, work towards them. Don't quit when you don't hit them right away. Keep moving in that direction, and someday you might get there. But I guarantee you'll always get further down the road for having tried than you will if you set, basic reasonable goals. So that's where that's where I'm coming from with this. And I'll
All right. Hey,
stop talking now because I've been
good stuff, and congrats, Tom. And I mean, I got to think I would think you're sore for like a month afterwards, but you said just a couple days.
Yeah, I'm actually doing okay. I went for a swim last night. I went and swam 1,600 yards or something like that at swim practice last night, and felt pretty good. Just tired. I'm still a little tired. I'm fatigued, and I've got a pretty gnarly blister on the bottom of my left foot, so that's been bugging me. So I won't be running for a few days, but I'll probably go for a bike ride later today. So,
all right, I'm going to dig in here and ask you some more questions along the way, some strange ones. So let's talk about this as a room, not the smartest guys in the room. Audacious, huge, and bold goals. So I want to know if you're willing to give it, bold goal, like Star Trek, go where no one has ever gone before. And then just how a tip or not like a step on how you plan to get there. So Brian P. Swift, you want to start, so this is, if you're going to go somewhere big, the rest of us can say, that's a good way to start that. Okay, I'm going to do something. So what do you got for us, Brian P. Swift?
Well, I agree with Tom with setting goals. I talk more about setting goals that scare you, because I think there's got to be some form of doubt and fear on whether you can accomplish it, or I don't know if it's really worth tackling in terms of planning out and executing and whatnot. But not everybody is able to do that, because, if you look at what they call SMART goals, some people would look at that and think it's not achievable. And that might be so, really might take the steam out of them. So, it's hard to say what's tough for one and what's realistic, but I believe you have to set goals that scare you to some degree. You have to manage your expectations. I think that's important. And I'm sure Tom didn't go out and just start running and riding and swimming. You set least for me, call them mini goals, and work your way up to it. And I think that's where people who set big goals maybe flounder, is they set big goals, but they don't manage their expectations, and they don't set smaller goals to get to that big goal that maybe scares them. So set smaller goals that kind of lead up to those big ones, so that you're not, I guess, talking yourself out of the fact that this is doable. And I think the more you do that, the easier it is to set bigger goals without getting that fear factor that pulls people away from setting goals that are too big. And the other thing, as I said, managing your expectations. Tom had certain expectations that didn't happen in the start of the race, so we just adjusted them. Like you said, maybe he could make it up on the bike, maybe he could make it up on the run. So it's okay to adjust those goals. I think you have to when they're that big.
So Swifty, what's a big goal for you? Something that you're like, oh, I'm gonna have a syndicated show, or I'm gonna make a movie, or I'm gonna be a congressman. What's something you're that big one for Swifty?
Well, Dom, you and I started a screenplay, and I would like to see that turned into a movie. I would love to create a following and partner with people where we can really impact people's belief systems and desires to get away from this working world and take maybe more control of their own lives, whether that's becoming an entrepreneur or whatever that may be. So I guess I haven't, in terms of physical goals, it's been a while since I've done a sprint triathlon, for numerous reasons. And I think I want to start to look into that again, so I could push myself, get back into pushing myself physically, which is concerning. Is it frightening? It is, because I've done it before, and I was a wee bit younger, and I know as you age, it doesn't get easier to do, but I'm not afraid of the not easy part to do. So I think, starting to work out for a sprint triathlon would be one of my other goals. I'm complete.
Swifty, we're with you, man. You put it out to the world here. So best wishes to you. And I like Brian's idea of the movie too. So John Jay, what do you got for us? Big, huge, audacious goal. Any tips on how you're going to get there so we can follow in your footsteps?
I don't know about following in footsteps. My big audacious goal is to have the show with the radio show version of my show with 300 affiliate stations. We're now on 125, so we're almost halfway there. If you had asked me when I first started in 2017, my goal was to get on one radio station. Then it was 13. Then when I got first 20, I remember getting the 100th. What a big deal that was. So if you'd asked me then, would it be able to get on 100 stations? No, I didn't think that was achievable. But the question is, if not you, then who? If not now, then when? That's what I have to ask myself all the time. And what I do is I set little milestones for myself, because those are more achievable. And kind of like what Tom said. By the way, Dominick sent me a photo of Tom in the Ironman triathlon. I'm not going to tell you what it said, Tom. Dominick remembers it, and I'm sure he laughed like I did. Good job on that. and I'm using an example. If our goal is to climb Mount Everest, and we look at the totality of the mountain, that's too much to accomplish. But if I'm going to set milestones of making the first 100 feet, that I can do. Once I get to the second 100 feet, now that's another goal crossed, another milestone. And the last thing I have to do is, it's great to have goals. What's the old saying? Shoot for the moon, aim for the stars, because you just might hit one. If you aim really low, you're guaranteed to hit that. You're probably going to get what you shoot for. But if I have to remember what is in my control and what is not, I don't have control over what other radio stations do. Like in Tom's case, he doesn't have control over what the water current is. A lot of things can delay your goals and change your goals. So my goals are written in concrete. My path to achieve those goals is written in sand, because they're always changing, because not everything is beyond my control, within my control.
I like that, John. I really like that, the symbolism. I mean, obviously I'm a visual guy, right? So like I love visual symbolism like that, but saying that your goals are written in concrete or carved in stone, right? And the path to get to them is in sand, because it's ever changing and it's malleable. I really like the imagery with that. Appreciate that. Yeah. And I think at the end of the day too, like just kind of circling back to Brian's also, and what you were talking about, John, like I think it's really important that the goal, like when you're setting these huge audacious goals, that they are theoretically possible, right? That you are setting a goal that has a glimmer of truth to it, right? That has the possibility of hope, right? That it is theoretically, if everything were to line up perfectly, you'll get there, right? And maybe, it gets easier the further you get down the road, the more kind of like intermediate goals you hit, the more likely it becomes that you're going to accomplish that ultimate goal. But it has to be theoretically possible. If you're setting goals that are completely out of your reach and fundamentally impossible, you're not doing yourself any favors, right? Because you're going to quit, right? You're going to look and go, I don't know what I was thinking. This is impossible. I'm going to stop, right? And it's really easy to give yourself permission to do that when the goal itself is recognizably impossible. So I think it's super important to make those goals theoretically possible. And then, yeah, like John said, carve them in stone and understand that the path to get there is paved with sand, and it's going to move and change over time, and that's okay, right? You have to be okay with that change. You have to allow that to happen and understand it's not a straight path, right? So yeah, appreciate that imagery, John. What do you think, Dom?
I love it. John was on fire, and I like it's funny, like we've known John a while. So when he wasn't syndicated in 100 shows and he was climbing up the charts, and now he's over 100, and like he just keeps hitting these numbers and just stays consistent, stays out there every day, stays on message, doesn't go into selling Ray-Ban sunglasses, doesn't go into, he does what he does, and he does it very well, and he keeps getting better, more efficient, more effective. And as friends and fans of what he does, I mean, isn't that the right way to build a business and a brand? So consistent, so on message, so tight, so authentic. He doesn't try to be, John doesn't try to be Tom, and he doesn't try to be Dominic. He is John. And so I salute you, brother. John, you know what I've never seen? I've never seen John J. Wiley in a cat suit, because John is himself.
I don't have the physique for that, to be honest.
Thank you. I was working that one for about 5 minutes to get into the perfect setup.
I think we could have a whole discussion about how perfect that setup was, and how imperfect it actually was. You might have thought it was perfect, but man, that was a stretch.
If anybody goes back over if you watch on Twitch or wherever we live stream, you might be able to see a picture I held up to the screen that I sent John from a couple of days ago, and Tom was in his neoprene outfit, or
it's not neoprene.
I don't even know what neoprene is. I just wanted to
Neoprene
say.
is what they make wetsuits out of. I would have
Uh,
died of heat stroke if it was made out of neoprene.
Hey, I went surfing and wore a wetsuit, and I did not look. I looked like a big seal. Talk about not having the right look for something. I've never felt worse about myself than when I had a wetsuit on.
Yeah, it's humbling to be in something that is very form fitting, right? Especially as a guy, because like we're
Yeah.
not used to that. You
Yes.
know, generally speaking, but it is what it is. Look, you
Huh.
gotta it's the right apparel, the right gear for the race. So that's what I wear. Is what it is.
There you go. All right, not the smartest guys in the room. Let's cruise on. So when I talk about my goal, I always say I want to live in a world where 20 years from now there's no divisive content. People open the doors for each other. People say hello. So some days I was at the grocery store the other day and some guy was giving me the meanest mug, like I'm just like serenity now. I don't want to fight this guy. I don't know why he's angry with me, but I want to live in this world where people smile at each other. People open doors. So for me, I want to put out inspiration, smiles, and positivity 24/7, 365 days a year. I want to be the paramount of inspiration, motivation, of that kind of content. The brand where when you say, I want to feel good today, whether it's a story of athletic achievement like Tom, where he just ran, uh, how many miles is Ironman altogether?
Altogether, it's 140.6 miles.
Okay, where this guy goes 146 miles and
100,
thinks he
140.6, not 100.
140.6 miles, thinks he didn't accomplish a time, and then all of a sudden qualifies for the world championships in his age bracket. Like this is a positive story. So I want to be around as many, whether it's a marriage that if after 45 years they're still happy, or anything that I can share. And so I try to be out there as much as I can, 24/7. So as I build more content, be out there, more books, more shows, more everything. What can I get there? I don't know. But the process, if I'm going step by step, is be out there more, have control of more content, be part of more content that's on message, on brand, on subject. And if I can do that, one more, rid myself of stuff that isn't on that pathway. So that's how I'm trying to get where I'm going. So let's go to Jackie. Jackie, big audacious goal. And how are you? What's a step away that you can take the next step, or we can take the next step to get there?
Hello, everybody. So I look at it this way. What legacy do I want to leave behind when I'm not here anymore? So I see that and I know what that is, right? In my heart, I know what that is. Now I have a bunch of goals right now, but it all leads to one big one. And that is me making moves in the mental health industry. I'm a very big advocate for postpartum and prenatal mental health because I went through some crazy stuff with mine. But that doesn't mean that I'm stuck in that field as well, because I'm also a mother that's growing and learning and meeting new things. And, I find when I'm focusing on at least a little bit of that a day, I have probably one, two, I mean, I have so many things. Like there's so many goals. So daily, make the best of the day. How do I make today the best that I can make it? Even if I'm sick, which my family has been sick forever, it seems like my kids are just bringing it home. How can I make that day the best day? How do I stay on task, even if it's, you know, whatever I have to get done, the 5 minutes a day, the meditation that I do for myself every day. And then, Jason, and then beyond that, I go to what can I do next, right? And I'm building upon everything. I look at it as stepping stones. So one thing happens, then the next thing gets bigger. So I started out with my podcast, right? Now moving on to a different project. After that, there's 2 other projects that are going to go right behind it. My podcast one day will be an accessory to who I am, and me public speaking and me doing a lot of other things in this environment. And the crazy part about all this is me putting those feelers out there. I want to help people. I want to help in mental health. My daughter has a rare genetic condition. I got in contact with one of the researchers. I had her on my podcast. I am now the go-between between her and America. Like, no joke. She asked me questions. I put them in a Facebook group. We figure it out together because it's a rare, rare genetic condition. And I send them back to the researcher. And eventually she's bringing that research to America. And I'm going to be the one that helps her with that. So even just through like life and life circumstances, I'm already bringing these things with me to help people. And actually yesterday, I read this, Facebook post. We have, the Facebook group for the rare disease, and this woman wrote in it and she was talking about my podcast, and it just made me go into tears, which is really hard for me. I'm like a stone. So, believe it or not. And I just couldn't believe that impact, the impact that it can have. And I want to chase that impact and help and bring light to people where they feel like maybe there is none. So that is my huge goal, right? Is just to be that person and that character. When people remember me, they're like, dang, she fought for a lot of stuff and she brought light to the world in many ways. That's my big legacy goal, right? Then I have all the underneath ones, which I am not holding myself to one thing. I'm ever evolving. And I do have goals that are already set that I will complete. And who knows what goals are going to come after that. But yeah, that's my spiel.
Thanks, Jackie. I love that you're setting that big legacy goal, but then have a lot of other smaller goals surrounding it. And I think that's super important, right? Like I talked about before, like you should have, goal setting should be, a layered process, right? It should be multi-layered, and not just singular or hyper targeted. On one thing, that there should be sort of ancillary, secondary, a multitude of goals that are all sort of aligned with a legacy or a big overall or overarching goal. So I think that's important to do. So thanks for sharing that. And just want to take a second to say thanks to everybody for being here again with us in Not the Smartest Guys in the Room. We do this every Wednesday morning at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, as you guys, as you folks who are here every week with us well know. And we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. We do this, for you, for this community that we've built up over time to help you guys either provide answers to each other or find answers to questions you may have. So really appreciate you guys. We are live streaming as we normally do, right? So we're live streaming on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Twitch. And that's that, right? So we're all over the internet, live streaming. If you ever want to go back and watch replays, you can do that on any of the social media platforms, Facebook or LinkedIn, or Twitch, or even over on YouTube. You can go and watch the replays if you want to go back and rewatch or re-listen to a part of the show. If you want to see when Dom was holding up the picture of me in my triathlon suit, you can see that. He has a different word for it, different name for it. I'm not going to say, but with his sneaky texts back and forth with John Wiley. But yeah, you can go check that out if you want to watch the replay. Next up, we're coming to you, Jason. So as we had done before, we're looking specifically, what's your big goal? And then if you have, a subset of like a, couple of goals, 2 or 3 goals underneath that to help you get there, we'd love to hear those too. But what's your big goal? What's that main goal? What's the thing you're really reaching for? The thing you want to accomplish? What's your legacy goal?
My legacy goal is to have an amazing experience and write about it. And that sums up real quick. I mean, you can't get better than that. And what does that experience entail? Well, those are the details that I don't share with too many, but only to the people that can help me get there. And the reason why is because I limit the amount of inputs as I narrow down my outputs. And I sent Dom, like I think a week ago, about something about note to self about goals. And what I found this on a social media post, and it said goals without deadlines are fantasies. Goals plus deadlines are objectives. Goals plus a deadline and a plan is an intention. Goals plus a deadline plan, consistent action is success. But personal meaningfulness in your goals, a deadline, a plan, and a consistent action is fulfillment. And I hear a lot of people passing their goals around like popcorn. And I'm like, sorry, I'm not always hungry for popcorn. What is your future state? What do you really want to get down to? Your goal of completing the Ironman was a tremendous feat. And I know, as somebody who's trained in long distance riding and running, I haven't done an Ironman. I know to build what I need to rely on in the inside, not just the muscle, but the character that takes the mindset to actually fulfilling the running, the riding, and swimming part. It takes a lot of character training, and that character training fulfills your goals. And people mention goals like hoping popcorn. I'm like, okay, thanks for your hope, appreciate it, but I don't mention my goals unless you're going to help me get there, and I know that you're intentionally worth it. I mean, I hate to be scrutinizing on that, but you know what? I have found completing more of the consistent things with my character and learning from that experience makes the audacious goals exist, makes success worthwhile going after. So I believe those are the answers I can provide for you.
Thanks, Jason. And I think there's nothing wrong here with, like, John all of a sudden said 300 before. John's going to be on 1,000 syndicated networks in no time, right? And I think when he gets to 300, he'll say, 500, or I think we can move the goal once Tom finishes the Ironman and he says, I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do it faster. I'm going to do Worlds or something like that. So I think there's nothing wrong. We can have huge goals, but when we have huge goals, we set the plan, we do the work, we often hit them, right? And then when we do, we don't have to there's probably another mountain we can climb. So let's keep climbing. All right, let's climb on. Good stuff, Jason. All right, Julie, big, audacious, bold goal. And you got a tip for how we can get there? What do you got?
I love this. I guess my legacy, if you will, or my dream, and of course, cue dogs barking the minute I am Mike. I want everyone to understand that their dream is a reality. I want to be the facilitator of your dreams. I want Dom to be a New York Times bestseller. I want Tom to be the CEO of Netflix or something like that. And John to have 10 million stations in the world, international, on and on and on. And it is possible. You just need to surround yourself with the right people. I see that over and over again. People are not connecting, and people are not associating themselves with the correct people. Thank you, gentlemen. This is great.
Julie, let's dig in on this. This is a good one and a good segue here. Surround yourself with the right people. What does that mean? What does it mean to you? How do you do that?
Well, networking, number one, but don't you ever just take stock of who you're talking to every single day, and you're like, why am I talking to this person who hasn't had a job in 5 years, makes excuses, just wants to go out and eat Ben and Jerry's every night? You have to elevate yourself towards the people that you want to surround yourself with. And you can do it in places like this, or networking events, or, connecting other people, and it all comes around. Networking is a lot like karma. Just saying.
Good stuff, Julie. And I know we know the quote from Jim Rohn, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. In my partnerships, in all the projects I have going on, in nonprofits I work with, in turkey delivery, and everything I try to do to get where I want to go. Number one, I know you can't do it alone. Okay, that you will fail. Okay, so you have to have a support team around you. You have to have people that you believe in and believe in you. I always try to work with people that can move a project forward. Me and Tom had this conversation the other day. Like, I don't need you to like be climbing walls and thinking about project 24/7. I need you to move project forward. Do what you can do. You give your resources, your skills, whatever you're good at, that moves project forward. And then I do what I'm good at. Go on, Julie. Did you want to add something there?
Oh, just one thing. I mean, that's so great, Dom. And another thing I forgot to say is that I think a lot of people miss is that you have to pay money to make money. Like, nothing is for free in building goals. And unless you have a stroke of luck, you can win the lottery. You have to invest in yourself and your dream and into the different steps of setting goals. I just don't know any other way. And I see people thinking they can all do it for free. Free is not for me. So thank you. Find that money. Use it for good. Money is energy. Money is energy.
Okay, another tip from Julie. She says you got to spend money to make money as well. So it was surround yourself with people movers, shakers, people doing things, people that are not that Ben and Jerry's is bad. Some good ice cream every now and then probably will make you smile, unless it makes you sick to the stomach like it does me. So I can't go to ice cream with you, but okay, we'll move on. Hey, Dave. I've been seeing Dave more on video. I'm watching, I'm enjoying. So all of a sudden, Dave's in my feed more. I'm watching his videos. You're doing a good job, man. So what kind of big goal do you have, my friend?
Yeah, thanks, guys. It's funny because I don't come on Clubhouse too often, but I was going through YouTube and you guys popped up. So I was like, oh, I got to stop in and talk to Dom and Tom, because I always get so inspired every time I just listen in or even hop into the room. For me, I guess like kind of like what the other guy was saying is that for me, like, I don't necessarily have a big goal. I have a big vision, and then
He's in the middle of big goal, big vision, and then he gets the red bar. Is this what's going on here?
Yeah, I don't know. That was so like kind of perfectly and poorly. There we go. Here we go.
Okay, it wasn't a power pause. Go on, Dave. What do you got?
Oh, sorry there. I got all confused. No, so I was saying, like, I heard this thing about like shoot for the moon. Even if you miss, you land amongst the stars. So I think it's important to have that big vision and to move out of being a cook and into doing the life coaching and eventually become a therapist to help men with ADHD, and to build a family. Like, that's the big kind of vision of my life, and little goals kind of supported along the way. And I just heard this quote, I think it's from Atomic Habits, like, you don't rise to your goals, you fall to your systems. So why you've been seeing me more is I've been trying to practice consistency and discipline of making sure that I'm posting every day, putting myself out there, because, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. So if I don't start putting myself out there, and I know like the content will improve with time, and I'm learning to just enjoy the little goals and the little wins of each day, because as someone with ADHD, I need to make sure it's still interesting, novel, challenging, unique, and has purpose. Otherwise, I lose interest right away. So, those are kind of my little things that I do that kind of help me to keep me on towards my goals, starting little goals for the day, but like that big vision. So I always know where I'm shooting towards, because I've walked around too much aimlessly. And when I have a goal or a vision ahead, I can work my way through the trees. That's all I got. Thanks.
Appreciate it, my man. And I'm seeing you out there and you're doing it. And I just want to follow up with this consistency of, now that you're out there doing it, like you said, you want to help others. You want to be a coach, all that. Already, I'm watching you on video. So one person sees you, two people see you. So 10 people, hundreds, thousands, whatever the numbers are, but you are doing. It might not be 24 hours a day. It might not be for a career yet, but for that time when I'm tuning into your video, when other people are watching, you are doing exactly what you want to be doing. So stay the course, my friend. And then go on, Tom.
No, I'm good. I'm good.
All right, let's keep. I just got to on my Clubhouse update. So number one, I want to give Clubhouse some props here because I feel like, let's say Dave jumping in this room, I feel if you're going to speak on stages, if you're going to speak about your product, if you're going to market, if you're going to network, I think Clubhouse, social audio is a great place to practice that, where you could be doing other things. You could be like Tom could be like sending out invoices right now and still come up and, practice his messaging and things like that and network with this great group of people. So I think this is a good spot for everybody doing that. Tom, do you want to say something there?
Well, first of all, I just want to clarify, I'm not sending out invoices right now. I'm actually paying attention. So there's that. But also, I wanted to just point our attention to the time of day, because it is time for show and tell. And then we can hear from December, but it's time for show and tell. So I'm curious to see what you got this week.
Okay, this was I was between two things, but because this weekend was the Steelers' first home game, and I love to drone on about the Steelers, I decided first home game. We got there at about 9. We left my house at about 8:30. The game started at 1. We got down there, went to multiple tailgates, had giant hunks of meat, had plenty of frosty beverages and all kinds of things and then the Steelers brought home a big win. So this, I am going to show you this is a little pin, PIN, that you would wear. I've always struggled.
Hold it a little bit further back from the camera. It's too close. It's not in focus.
Okay, there you go. How's that?
That's better.
It says the Immaculate Tackle, and that is Big Ben saving us a couple years ago when Peyton Manning was about to beat us in a playoff game, but Ben saved us by 2 little fingers, and then we went on and won the Super Bowl. So as I told you last week that I'm starting to finish my basement, so I got to take down all the memorabilia so that I can paint and not knock things over like my son did. And so this makes me smile because it was our quarterback making a game-saving tackle, and I should wear it right here with pride. So that's today's show and tell. Keep it simple, Tom.
Yeah, I knew you were excited. I like that as sort of inspiration for you. I knew you were excited that football season was back when I saw the picture of you with your terrible towel over your shoulder, ready to get into the stadium and wave that thing around and cheer for your team. So I saw you hanging out at the tailgate and get ready to go for another season of home games. So I knew you were excited. But yeah, that's pretty cool. I didn't know about that play, but it's funny that you have a button for it. That's he's got another button. What do we got? What's this button? What do you have? 2 of the same button?
2. It's so good. I have 2 of them.
It was so nice. You bought it twice.
There you go.
That's hilarious. But no, that's cool. I mean, it's always fun when, especially like you've been a Steelers fan your whole life, right? When somebody who's, has been a fan of something for a long time, and has kind of stuck through the good times and the bad times, right? Because the Steelers have not been good for your entire life. They've not been a winning team for your entire life. They've had some rough years in there, but you were rooting for them regardless. And it's always nice when you feel like that loyalty kind of pays off, and you get to cheer for your team when they're doing well. In addition, so yeah, I like it, man.
We lost December. December was here. I was just going to tell you, there is nothing better than a championship parade. When a million people, and it really is 100,000, hundreds of thousands, could be 1 million, get out on the streets and the team goes down the roads. Nothing better. I won't miss one. Okay, now Tom, go on.
Well, I was just going to say, I don't know what happened to. I don't know what happened to December. I specifically said right after show and tell we were going to get to them.
Hey.
But I guess it wasn't fast enough.
Hey, well, we appreciate anybody stopping through, whether it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes. If you enjoy the room, come back next week. We do it every week at 9:30. We're not done yet, though. Okay, big Audacious Bowl. Before Tom does his wrap up today, anybody that wants to put one of their goals in the comment or give us a tip. So we'll go one more time before we get to the wrap up, Tom. We got Brian, we got Julie. If Eric or Carrie wants to come up, Lauren, a tip to reaching that big audacious goal. And then, Tom, you can give us a wrap up. So, Brian, because I know you got a radio show today, what's a tip to reaching a big, audacious goal?
Well, 3 things that I like doing. One is, I mean, you have to make sure they're written, and a lot of people don't. 2, tell somebody, because that person or those people you tell kind of help become accountability partners. And 3, put a date to it. And I think putting a date to it creates some urgency. And I like the idea of telling people, because that also helps you stay accountable. I'm complete.
Good stuff, Brian. Okay. Julie and Cindy, you popped up. If you want to pop back up and give us a tip to get into a big audacious goal, come on and do it. Julie Loken, do you have a tip for us to get to where we want to go?
Just do it, guys. Just do it. That's it. Just start doing it. Do the thing that's going to bring you closer to the thing. Thank you. You're welcome. That was pretty good, right?
That was good. Do the thing. Do what you do. Okay. Cindy said she was in listening mode. She's back up here. So it's your first time. We appreciate you being here. You just got to click your little mic off if you'd like to say something. If not, you don't have to. No pressure. Go on, Cindy.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Cindy over in Salt Lake City. I'm glad to have stumbled across your room today. Goals are very, very important. And no, I have not got mine in writing. And I've got way off track. So we have my brother has been diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It's very aggressive, and I've been with him. And so I can tell you, we need a miracle, and we hope and pray he'll make it to the end of the year. We're getting affairs in order. And that really has done something to Cindy getting her affairs in order differently with my life and my business and priorities and what and how I'm spending my time. So I'm going to land it there, but I'll be back. And it's really good to hear you guys, excuse me, positive vibes. So dig it. Thank you.
Cindy, thank you so much for sharing that. And we wish you only the best, only love. And I'm just a student of inspiration and motivation. So I'll just share with you that I was listening to Joel Osteen one time, and actually went and saw him in person, and he talked about his mom was real sick, and all of a sudden the doctor said there was nothing more they could do, and they kept praying, and then before you know it, next time they went to the doctor's appointment, there was no more cancer, there was no more nothing, and his mom was sitting there in the front row years later. So you never know. Keep that hope alive, and this is a supportive community, so we all wish you only the best on your journey.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautiful.
Thanks for sharing that, Cindy, and obviously, wishing you and your family and your brother all the best, with his treatments, and keeping our fingers crossed for him. So keep fighting the good fight.
Thank you, Cindy. Okay, let's see. Chris said he was going to come up here and speak. Chris has his hand raised, so if Chris can figure it out, come on, Chris. Chris is Tom's buddy. If not, just put your comment. I'm going to say consistency. Show up. I'll say show up every day and consistent, move forward like a professional. You don't have to be moving mountains every day. Just show up, do something, move forward, and then you'll just keep getting 1 inch, like a baby crawling. I mean, you're still closer to that goal. Chris, are you up here just to mess with Tom, which is fine, but or do you want to share a goal? What do you got for us?
I don't know if you can hear me. Can you hear me?
Yeah, man, you sound great.
There you go. I finally got the app straight. First of all, Tom, congratulations on your child. Get ready for the wild roller coaster ride that will humble you and scare the poop out of you. The other part is congratulations on the Ironman thing, man. You're I remember back when we were working together, you had a little bit of a gut and you were smoking and you were, I mean, you talk about setting goals. My God, man, your life's changed so much.
Yeah, a little little different. Thanks for that, though.
A little different. Well, and I also wanted to, you know, I keep throwing things at you on the side, and then you do the mentorship thing, which is like, I sent you a clip, and he's like, "What's the context?" And I'm like, "All right, got you." And I just keep working. So I just want to let you know that the mentorship is it's kind of a quick hit, but it still means an awful lot, and I really do appreciate it.
Well, and I appreciate that, buddy. I appreciate that. You know, and keep coming back. I think you know, I love having you here. You know, we've known each other for a long time. And I always like our back and forth. I think we've got a good rapport. You know, which we discovered pretty quickly when we did work together all those years ago. And yeah, I'm happy to help. You know, I mean, I say that for a reason. I am happy to help. And you know, keep sending me stuff. I'll keep giving you feedback and keep trying to push you in a positive direction. So thanks for being here. And I was going to say, and if you ever want to come back and give me grief, I know Dom would welcome it. He's giving a big thumbs up right now to the camera.
Well, yeah, the thing is, it's like, I don't know Dom well enough to give him grief, but I did send you that picture of him, or the video of him on one of the last clubhouses you did, where he's staring at the camera and he looks like a baby owl.
Yep.
He didn't tell me about this. Okay.
No, you're a handsome man. You're a handsome man. It just doesn't it's just not flattering when you stare right into the camera. I mean, I love it, but I don't know what everybody else is doing.
All right, I got to think about it. Okay, all right, hold on, Chris. Thank you, my friend. All right, on the Swift, and then we're getting to Tom. What do you got, Swift?
No, I like the idea. I like the photo of you staring at the glue gun.
Hey, I do them both. Okay. On that note, we're all done. I'm done talking. Everybody else is done talking, except for Tom on his wrap up. Every week we end with a wrap up. Tom ties everything we're talking about together. He leaves us with some motivation, some tips, and we all feel better about our existence after hanging out, after hearing Tom. Tom, go on, Tom. What do you got?
All right, I'll do my best to live up to that lofty ideal you just set for me. So, you know, we started out talking today about setting big goals, setting audacious goals, was specifically the phrasing that we used to describe that. And I really like that phrasing. It's something that I try to do in my life, both personally and professionally, is to set big audacious goals. But I think there's a couple of key things that are really important to keep in mind when you engage in setting audacious or unreasonable goals, as my friend Will Gadara likes to say. And that is that the goals have to be theoretically possible. They have to be something that on a perfect day, or were circumstances to align perfectly, you could accomplish, right? So that's first. Make sure that the big, audacious, unreasonable goal that you're setting is theoretically possible. Next, say that goal out loud, whether you write it down, right? Or you say it publicly, or you tell your friends and family about it. You don't have to do it in a public forum, but you have to tell other people about it. You have to give that goal some permanence in the world. And in doing that, you will create accountability for yourself, because when you tell a whole bunch of people that you have this big goal that you're setting, people will naturally, when they engage with you, say, oh, you told me you were going to try to do this. You told me you were going to try to get under 10 hours in your next Ironman. You told me you were going to try to humanize the world of business through better communications. How's that going? Right? People are going to ask those questions, and that creates accountability, because you don't want to have to say, oh yeah, I forgot about that, or oh yeah, I haven't done anything about that, right? You don't want to have to say out loud that you dropped the ball or you quit or you gave up, right? So that accountability really makes a huge difference. And then the third thing that I want to emphasize out of this is that when you set these big, unreasonable, audacious goals, right? When you reach for a goal that is only barely theoretically possible, like will only come true if everything aligns perfectly, be prepared to not reach that goal, right? But to accomplish subsequent or a subset of goals along the way towards reaching that. It is okay to move that goal further down the road. And I'll give you, I'll prove it to you right now. I had a goal going into my Ironman in Maryland this year, right, which took place last Saturday. I had the goal of finishing in under 10 hours. I didn't make it. In fact, I was more than an hour off of that goal. I didn't get there. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move that goal to my next Ironman race, right, which is August 3rd of next year in Ottawa, Canada. That's my next race, and I'm going to do my best. I'm going to do my darndest. I'm going to train hard. I'm going to hone in on my nutrition. I'm going to try to get everything dialed in so that when I toe the line in Ottawa next August, I give myself every opportunity to succeed in finishing under 10 hours. Will I? I don't know. But theoretically, it's possible. So I'm going to try. And I'm going to keep trying because I will always get further down the road towards accomplishing that goal by having tried than if I didn't try at all. Right. And ultimately, that's the payoff, is getting further down that road, getting closer and closer and closer to accomplishing those big, audacious, unreasonable goals that we should all be setting for ourselves. So that's my big, audacious, unreasonable goal. Under 10 hours next year in Ottawa. We got plenty of time. We got 11 months to get there. So yeah, that's all I got for this week. That's my big, audacious goal. What's yours? Say it out loud, say it publicly, create some accountability for yourself. Thank you all for being here this week with us. On behalf of Dom, I'm Tom. We are not the smartest guys in the room. You all are. We appreciate you. We love you. You are the reason why we do this every week, every Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time, streaming live all over the internet. If you want to participate in the conversation, make sure you come by on Clubhouse. Otherwise, you can check us out on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitch. And until next Wednesday at 9:30 a.m., we appreciate all of you. We love you. And we hope you have a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye-bye.